Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talking Points with KPI, episode number 35. Today, it's a little different style podcast. Today, we are all on Zoom. As you can see, we're here with Eric, Dan, and then we have Nick. Nick Hunenberg is a new hire for KPI. He is just about to join in May during the summer program, and I will let Nick introduce himself.
Sure. Hey, guys, my name is Nick. I currently work as an athletic trainer. I also have a CSCS certification, and I look forward very much to joining the KPI team.
Sweet. So now, Dan and Eric, I'll talk to you a little bit now. So having this position open for a while has kind of been a talking point in podcasts before with bridging the gap. So now having Nick here talk about how that gap is going to be bridged.
I think just historically, and Dan will probably speak better to kind of like what's going to happen in-house, but we've had this position open for quite a while now. Our business model, while some people think it's probably complicated and elaborate, it's actually pretty simple. We're always going to do what's best for the athletes, and we have a great staff in place. And then Dan and I just internally have wanted someone on that medical wellness side of things, because basically we want an athlete to walk in our door and be able to have every single one of their needs served, inside of our building. And, we developed a world-class strength system, a world-class pitching system, a world-class hitting system, but we've had that gap in really that kind of that final offering that we could give on that wellness side of things. And, I think we've had this posted for over a year, right, Dan? I think, and just, we've had people apply, we've interviewed people. No one really even got to the point to where we would consider it strongly. And then Nick applied, based off a job posting on I think it was ABCA website. I think, Nick, yeah. It checked a lot of boxes. When you come to KPI, and Noah, this, and Dan certainly knows this, like, you have to wear a lot of different hats. You got to be able to handle yourself a whole bunch of different ways because our environment is so dynamic. And Nick being able to obviously have the athletic training background, he's got a master's in athletic training and has experience there, to having the arm care component that he's already kind of been doing at the collegiate level, running an arm care program, which is obviously huge for us. And then, 3, having a baseball background. The baseball and softball injury patterns are so unique that, often Dan and I will almost sometimes kind of overrule a medical professional that doesn't know much about baseball. And then, now we'll have someone in-house that played baseball at a very high level. And then 4, he can, he's a certified strength coach. So it really just checked a ton of boxes for us. And then that's why, we definitely, it's been I don't know about intense, but it's been a thorough, I think, on both sides, like, kind of application and interview process. But, we're pretty confident we got the right fit.
So Dan, being the strength guy, right, making sure that is all secure and all this stuff, how do you see Nick supporting that side from the health side?
Yeah, I'd say, and I do want to go back. Let's make sure we get Nick's, like, your story leading up to this point in time, because I think it is valuable and it was important to us as part of this hiring process, and why we seeing you as being a big fit and a good fit to our system and our staff. So when I end this answer, I think we definitely should give an opportunity, because I want to make sure the KPI crew, all the kids, the families that you're going to be coming and working with have a good kind of understanding of your background and how it is very similar to all of us, and has very similar principles. But the biggest need that we have right now is this gray area between performance and injury, and in that area there's very varying needs for the athlete, whether I'm closer to truly being injured and working with a physical therapist or with an ortho, or I just got released from those people. And then performance, where, okay, I'm kind of dinged up, my arm and my back and my shoulder, or something is just not feeling right. And I think we currently do a pretty good job of pushing those athletes back into performance and getting them into, okay, I'm a functioning athlete, I'm out competing, I'm getting better. But I think we can do it faster. I think that we could do it in a more direct way, and then I think we can increase the human component to it. And right now, as the director of strength, I get pulled into the performance side, and then this is going to sound terrible, but I get dragged down into the injury prevention, rehab, prehab area. And it, not saying it's not, I don't have the ability to do it, but where we are at with from a business standpoint, it used to be one or two guys that, we were dealing with, or one or two athletes that we're dealing with. Okay. Yeah. My arm's a little bit dinged up. I got to get figured out, or my back's hurting. Let's figure this out. With just the nature of, we're anticipating 200 plus athletes training with us just on the baseball side this summer, 250 if we include softball, and then probably 300 plus if we include all our youth athletes. Now that we have this exponential growth, we do have just the nature of injury rates, like more and more kids are getting hurt. And we're also in a unique time that we're pretty much coming out of that completely. Everyone's competing, everyone's playing, and injuries are starting to spike again. We really need somebody to fill this gap, fill this need of, I can speak to and I can do some of the things that a PT, not ortho, but a physical therapist or chiropractor, I have the skill set and the expertise and the credentials to do that. But then I also blend and go into the strength side. And that's why Nick's skill set is extremely valuable to us. And we're really excited to bring him on.
Yeah. So Nick, Dan touched on it just a little bit, but you do have a very extensive background, not only in baseball, but in the PT world. So go into a little bit. I want to jump back just a little farther than normal. So start with your baseball experience first, and then we'll get into how you wanted to either get into PT or have wanted to be into PT, and it just worked itself out.
Sure. So I played collegiately at Tiffin University, and I played there for all 4 years and loved it. And I ended up getting a science degree. While I was there, I actually worked in the athletic training room as an aide for a student job. And I went through a couple surgeries myself as a college athlete. So that's really when I got passionate about it. Shortly after that, I got into a little bit of coaching with travel academies and whatnot, and also had a blast just being able to pass on, all that baseball knowledge and everything to that next generation. And I decided to go to get my master's in athletic training. So currently I work as an athletic trainer at a JUCO. The program that I work at has one of the better junior college baseball teams in the country. And it's been a blessing from that standpoint, because I get to work with, even though these kids are 19, 20 years old, they're, committed Division I athletes and moving on. And that population is really passionate about always getting better. And so I think with KPI, this is just a perfect blend and a perfect opportunity to put sports performance and sports medicine together. And it makes a huge impact and huge difference when you get to work with a population that actively wants to improve themselves across all standpoints. So to be able to do that in-house and entirely with KPI's team is just invaluable to these athletes. And so I look forward very much to taking part in that.
Absolutely. And so now I'm going to jump a little bit ahead. So you talked about seeing us on an ABCA flyer. So talk about either what interested you or what even caught your eye in the fact that you even wanted to send us an email.
Sure. So ironically, one of my old college coaches had reached out to me. He works for the ABCA, and we were just chit-chatting. I'm a new father, and when I was playing for him, he had 2 little girls, and he was asking me how life was going and all that. And we got to talking, and that made me kind of be interested in what he was doing, because he wasn't coaching anymore, but he was still involved with baseball and with the ABCA. And so I came across the job posting. And when I read it, I was like, wow, this is the niche and the perfect thing that I'm looking for, because I want to be able to work in a blended atmosphere of sports performance and sports medicine. And you don't often see that enough. And like I said, I just think it's so invaluable to all athletes of all ages, because it truly is, a unique business model. And I think KPI is just knocking it out of the park. So I wanted to join the team.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And so Dan and Eric, I'm going to give this question to you now. So we do have a very good current system of returning to training. Talk about how you guys have set that up and made it to what it is today, and how Nick is going to be able to progress that forward.
I'll let Dan talk mostly about this, but basically, we kind of identified Dan and I just kind of tag team this for, the last couple of years. And like Dan said, it wasn't that big of a deal at the beginning, and because it wasn't that many athletes. And now, it got to the point where there was, we were dealing on the wellness and injury side so much. And we have a great network. Like I want to kind of say that as well. Like the in-house stuff we have with our partners, the PTs we refer out to, the orthos we refer out to, Nick's walking into a pretty good system already built. But then, we kind of wanted to formalize a little bit more, like, hey, like what is the process if we have someone that's, it's a little bit subjective, but like a 3 out of 10 on the pain scale, like what are we doing officially, formally for that athlete, rather than just kind of like making sure they're okay informally, So Dan created a great return to training program where here are the steps that when someone is presenting themselves with some pain that we take to make sure that they're okay. And then hopefully quickly get back to general population, or they can't get back to general population after they follow these, steps. And then we refer out a little bit further. So Dan can kind of talk about the specifics of that. And then, Nick's going to kind of take it to the next level.
Yeah, I'd say the number one issue when it comes to injuries is communication. When we first, Eric and I started integrating our systems, what we were doing, we gave a little clinic on arm injuries. And I was going through this and I'm like, okay, how can I make this as applicable as possible? How can I connect this to a high school coach, a travel coach, a dad, a mom, a kid? Like, how can I make this? It's like, hey, the number one issue is just communication. Like, athletes do not tell their coaches if they're hurting. And it makes sense. We all play. You don't tell your coach that something's hurting. That coach controls your playing time. And if you tell them or give them a reason to take you out of the lineup or take you off the field, you ain't saying anything. Like, it's like, oh, I'm good. And I literally make that joke with every kid. Hey, when a coach asks you how you feel, what do you say? Oh, I'm good. And it's like, sometimes that's true. And then there's times that it's not true. And the more times that you lie to yourself or you lie to your coach, you lie to your parents that, oh, I'm good, but you're not, the chances of injury go up. And it's been very consistent. It's almost like maddening when you ask a kid, you come up, oh, hey, Dan, my arm's really bugging me or my back's bugging me. How long has this been bugging you? Oh, like, 2 weeks, maybe like a month. I don't know. I've had some players say, oh, for the last 2 years, I was like, you haven't said anything to anybody. No, I just thought it would go away. Like, what? Like, that's how we have conditioned humanity when it comes to health and wellness, is out of sight, out of mind. If it ain't broke, it ain't bleeding, like, you're fine. We're only going to go to the doctor. We're only going to go see a professional if you literally cannot function. And we have with some of the tools, whether it's our force plates or our some of our skill related tech, we can tell when performance drops and it's outside of the window of the norm. And we can say, hey, why are you not performing at the level we know you can perform at? Sometimes it's just, hey, I had a bad weekend, or I'm just not feeling good, or I'm not taking care of my sleep. But most times it is something like, this has been bugging me and I just haven't said anything. And so the RTT, the return to training program, really is focused on identification. And right now it is via communication of the athlete, which is extremely poor. Majority of kids, it's like, we just had this happen. I asked a team that we work with, every time they come in after a tournament, I go, how do you guys feel? How do your arms feel? How do your arms feel? How do your arms feel? And they go, oh, I'm good. They're also 9 years old. So it's like, we have to take that into account. And so I want to move this subjective component to the objective using our force plates or using some of our technology, whether it's armcare.com. We're getting the pulse sensor to be able to monitor more workloads on the throwing standpoint, but they get identified as being injured. We then figure out, okay, is this a true injury and needs to intervene and do something about it? Or is it just, hey, you sucked over the weekend, you didn't throw strikes and you didn't play well, so all of a sudden you're hurt. No, you're fine. Like, that is a value of the network we have with on the coaching side. We can speak to their sport coaches and have better insight. But if it truly is injury, okay, we got to figure out who this person's going to work with. The problem with our system currently is it takes too much time. I got to call a PT. I got to go see a primary care. I got to go get an ortho. Orthos are booked out for the next month. It just takes way too much time. Or like, we've sped up the system with our partners, with Dr. Riley in the building. Like, hey, you can see Dr. Riley on Sunday. You can see him on Monday. So we've sped that system up to a certain extent, but it still takes too much time. We need to know right away. We want to have that insight so we can put the plan together, and then we can ultimately take care of this, the kid freaking out that I'm hurt. And again, we've all been there, and we've all experienced that feeling of like, oh crap, like I don't know if I can get to play baseball for a while. So we want to speed up the system, we want to identify, and then we want to put a plan in place, and then we want to have somebody, a person who is responsible for seeing that athlete through that process. If we rely on the parents, if we rely on the kid, we're going to get mixed results where some parents are awesome. Like I joke this, my mom had this magical like skill of like, she get an MRI within 24 hours. Like if you need to get something checked, it's like nobody, insurance, doctor, nobody's going to stop me. I'm getting this done. And we have parents who fall into that category. And then we have other parents who's like, oh, we'll get to it. And it's like, oh, did you go sit? No, we'll get to that next week. Or I just got busy. So speeding up that process of figuring out and putting a plan in place and having somebody who's completely responsible and their sole focus. And that's where, the gap gets created, and I fall short of this. I get pulled into other areas. I get pulled into performance. I get pulled into business related things. I get pulled into these other areas that then the focus of solely making sure that Johnny and Jane get back to the general population and healthy again. That slows that process. So really excited to have Nick take on this role and responsibility.
Yeah. So now, kind of talking about bridging that gap, what is the summer going to look like for Nick and for us as KPI?
Nick's going to get dropped into the hottest of fires on day one. So, we're tackling our summer schedule right now. It looks like that we're going to be running 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day with upwards of about 150 athletes running through the building every day. So what Nick's schedule is going to look like is, in the morning, he's going to be on the strength floor because we have a little bit of a snaked approach as far as like different offerings happening at different times of the day to give everyone over the course of the week multiple options to basically register for sessions. So he's going to get his hand on, hitting and pitching on the strength floor in the mornings. He's going to have some admin time in the middle of the day to work on return to training, have those phone calls, reach out to the medical world, all those things. And then he's going to have dedicated athletic training time at the end of the day too. So any athlete that needs, some training time can know that he's going to be available in the afternoons basically to come in and get their training. So we're finalizing the schedule hopefully this week. But for the most part, that's what his day is going to look like every day. So again, many different hats get worn. It's going to be high, summer's our highest volume time of the year for obvious reasons. There's no school day to compete with. So it's going to be a lot of action for sure.
Absolutely. And so before we go on to the next couple steps, Nick, I have a question for you. So hearing what the life like at KPI is going to be like, just first thoughts, like, are you excited? You nervous, or I just want to hear what you're feeling.
No, I'm very excited. Obviously, anything that's new and any type of change is a little bit daunting at first, but I'm ready to hit the ground running. So I'm really looking forward to getting out there, honestly.
Love it. We're happy. We're excited to have you, and can't wait for you to get out here too. So Dan and Eric, the next steps for the director of wellness position, and what the future could look like for that position as the athletic trainer in-house for Nick develops. What is your guys' future and plans for that?
Well, whenever we kind of like have someone start to work their way up the ranks of our, employment basically scale, we always tell them, hey, learn the current system. That's step one, so figure out what we're doing. Then step two, master the current system, like dominate it, like execute it perfectly. And then the third step is always, all right, now your job's to take this to the next step, that next level. And so, that's going to be kind of what Nick is tasked with. And that's going to kind of be our expectations is like, just kind of get your feet wet, figure this out. Okay. Dominate it. And then we all of our coaches in our building have the greenest of green lights to kind of go crazy with their area of expertise. And we've seen it with our other directors where they have, worked their way in, figured out our systems, dealt with the chaos to a certain extent, done really well. And then Dan and I get out of their way at that point in time and just let them go crazy with it. So, I think the vision for Nick would be something similar where he's going to figure things out. Then he's going to take this to a whole nother level, take that return to training program and just go crazy with it and build great relationships with the medical professionals that we have in our network. Because we have some amazing people in this area that support our athletes and support us. So, and then getting him involved on the assessment side, making our assessment process better, figure out, we're all about bridging gaps in our building. So figuring out like, hey, like, here's something I'm seeing on the training side of things. Here's how it can affect the performance side of things. Here's how it can affect the skill side of things. And like, having that approach and being able to just make our system, no silos at all, just one integrated, badass system that serves every athlete's needs.
Yeah. All right. We have anything else? Nick, very welcome to the KPI crew, man. We're happy to see you. Happy to get you out here sooner than later. Thank you everyone for listening. If you do want to go see, this is a blog style podcast. So Eric did do a blog on Nick, our new hire. So go check that out at kpimh.com. Go into the blog tab. It should be the newest one right there. And I thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it.